This is another live podcast of Real Steel Sports on Spreaker Web Radio with James Krasnerick, your one and only Real Steel Sports host. Been about a week, a little over, since I've done a show. I've been more or less getting focused on, the revamping of our school's radio club and trying to get that in progress because me and my fellow radio club members are trying to make that look as good as possible because the return of the radio club is coming this Monday. So be sure to look us up on South Campus for CCAC South Campus Radio. We will be starting up on Monday. My show will probably be the first one up because I'm the first slot on Monday mornings anyway. But this show is more or less designed to be talking about, what the nation thinks. I do the SportsNation Polls every few days now because I think it's fun, to talk about the different topics, what the nation says, because I don't really follow all the sports as in-depth as, some, but I know enough about them to talk about it. So these polls give me a great chance to speak my opinion without sounding like an idiot. Other words, I know some things, in other words, I know nothing. We got 24 polls today. Again, some of the polls you'll notice I don't do because, I don't follow soccer or golf as closely. I kind of wish I did so I could, but, I really don't follow them as closely as said others. So let's get started. Poll number 1 is wondering, has Russell Westbrook returned to form for the Oklahoma City Thunder? He had 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists in 21 minutes against the 76ers. Well, if he played the whole game, he'd probably have close to 30 points, more than 20 rebounds, and almost 28 assists. That's a hell of a first 21 minutes. Yeah, he's returned to form, but again, at the same time, the Thunder as a team are still kind of finding their ways with him. But personally, for Westbrook, yes, he's back. The nation more or less agrees with me, 60-40 ratio. Then again, it's going to take the Thunder a little bit longer to try to figure out how to work him back in the lineup because he was out so long. Now, the next poll is, how will the Houston Rockets fare in the playoffs? The Houston Rockets are 20-6 since January 1st. They've been the best percentage team in the NBA since then. Now, if you go to ESPN.com, though, and if you look at the NBA standings, and you more or less see, how the teams stack up, if they were to meet in the playoffs right now, the Houston Rockets would host Golden State. Now, I think they could beat Golden State, but it'd be a really tough challenge. Harden and Dwight Howard both to play well, but I think they'd get through that. And the winner of that series take on the winner of San Antonio and Dallas. And honestly, San Antonio has not looked very impressive since the new year began. Yeah, they've been kind of, taken over by injuries, but at the same time, they're not playing really good basketball. So they kind of got to get back to basics there. Now, if anything, I think they might eke that series out, but I think it'd be tough for them to win in San Antonio. So if I had to pick where the Rockets will finish, I'll probably get the 3rd or 4th seed, one of those two, because Portland's not been nearly as consistent as they were at the start of the year. But more or less, I think the Rockets will end up falling in the second round of the playoffs. And that seems to be what everybody else says, because the nation, 57% of the nation agrees with me. The next poll is asking, how many years does Troy Polamalu have as an elite safety? He's got 2 or more left in him. Yeah, I know he's old, but think about it this way. He's always going to be there to make plays. He always knows where to line up. He's smart. He's one of the smartest safeties in the league. He does gamble a little bit, but at the same time, he makes plays behind the line of scrimmage that no other safety in NFL history has been able to make. He's made some ridiculous plays, and he's continued to do it. At the end of the last year, he started to play even better. I say he's got at least 2 years left as a good safety. Obviously, the nation disagrees with me. The only state agreeing with me is West Virginia. The state of Pennsylvania says 37%, and as a whole, the nation agrees, 39% of the nation agrees he's got 0 years left. Come on, this guy's easily one of the best safeties in the NFL. Has the NFL treated Brandon Browner fairly? They've treated him more than fairly. Jeez, he was suspended, 4 games already last year, 2012? I mean, come on. 57% of the nation says yes, and I think they have too. The guy got caught for drugs twice. He failed 2 drug tests. He's lucky he didn't get off with a full season suspension like he was supposed to. Would I want my favorite team to sign Brandon Browner? Considering I'm a Steeler fan and we need a cornerback, yes. Absolutely. 53% of the nation says yes, 47% says no. But then again, it kind of depends on the scheme. Browner's 6'4", 220. He's designed to line up and hit receivers. He's not designed to play, zone coverage. He's designed to line up and hit receivers at the point of attack. And the Steeler defense could definitely use some of that in their secondary. Dominic Wilkins said he was unimpressed with LeBron James putting up 61 on him because of the Bobcats' defense was terrible. Now, how impressive was LeBron's game? Had a mask on because of his broken nose, and went against a team that's in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. Now, in years past, that would have been enough to say very impressive. But the fact that the Eastern Conference is just so diluted this year with lack of talent, you really can't say that, it's that impressive. Charlotte right now is sitting at 28-33, which is good for 7th place in the Eastern Conference. In their division, they're currently the number 3. They would be the third best team in their division behind Miami and Washington. League rank in defense, they are the 5th best defensive team by points allowed per game in the league this year. So that's kind of impressive. Do I think Dominic Wilkins could have put up 48 and could have put up how many points he said he was going to put up? What was it, like 50 or something he said he could put up on this defense? I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. But I will say LeBron scoring 61 points in a face mask was very impressive. And I'm surprised that almost 50% of the nation says that it was somewhat unimpressive. It was somewhat impressive. 18% unimpressive, 34% said very impressive. Which team will win the Stanley Cup? Blackhawks, Bruins, Ducks, Penguins. I'm eliminating the Penguins because they're hit by the injury bug. Letang's not playing, and the fact that this team needs a rude awakening. The Ducks have found a way to kind of screw it up in the playoffs, losing to the Red Wings in the first round and having numerous early round defeats over the last few years. The Bruins and the Blackhawks right now are probably the 2 best teams, but honestly, I'm going to say another team wins it. And I'm looking at possibly the Blues winning it, or possibly another team in the East maybe be sneaking up on teams. So I'm going to say another team. And 36%... 36% of the nation says that another team other than the Blackhawks, Bruins, Ducks, and Pens will win the Stanley Cup. And I think that's fair because hang on a second. Yeah, I agree that another team besides those 4 teams will win it. St. Louis is a very good team. Even San Jose's got a really good chance. Playoffs in the West particular are wide open this year because every team in the West is a contender. Even Colorado has a chance. What do I make? What do I make of the deal that sent St. Louis to the Rangers and Callahan to the Lightning? I think it gives the Lightning a little bit of support because I think because Callahan being the captain for so long, I'm not really sure what to make of it. I would have to say St. Louis going to the Rangers is actually a really good thing for that team because, if anything, what it does is it gives the Rangers some firepower, some that they've lacked desperately on offense. Because if you look at what they've been doing the last few years in the playoffs, the Rangers have been outdone by the fact that they don't have enough offense to beat certain teams. They might have been able to beat the Capitals, and they might have been able to, get the Eastern Conference Finals a few years back, losing to the Devils, but their lack of offense has caused them problems. And adding St. Louis, who won the Art Ross Trophy last year as the top scorer, I think was a great thing. Because, think about it, you add one of the most dynamic players in the game, and even though he's old, he still can produce. So I have to say the deal was really good for the Rangers. I'm surprised, actually, because it says good for both, but in a way I thought more people would say it was good for the Rangers, because apparently more people think it was good for the Lightning than for the Rangers, and I'm kind of confused why, because the Lightning gave up a really good offensive player, and Steven Stamkos, no guarantee to play well off his injury, and then you've got the Rangers, who just got one of the better offensive players in the league to bolster an offense that is completely in its own way the last few years. What do I make of a rule change now that would move the prohibiting the snapping the ball until 10 seconds ran out the 40-second clock? Bad idea. Just no. It's fine the way it is. It doesn't need anything. Not even that many defensive coaches vouched for it. And 88% of the nation agrees. How far will Michigan go in the NCAA tournament? Really good team this year. They won the Big Ten title, considering it was really impressive, considering you had teams like Ohio State and Michigan State in it. But the Big Ten's been kind of weak this year because Michigan's an average team, and they're one of the better teams in the Big Ten. So I'm going to say they reached the Sweet 16. All right, most of the nation agrees with me. They say 48%. Of course, Michigan would say that they're going to reach the Final Four. Michigan fan. How will the Nationals fare in 2014? They'll miss the playoffs. I don't think they're going to the playoffs. I know Bryce Harper showed up jacked as all hell, but that doesn't mean they're going to win a lot of games. Strasburg's a good pitcher, but then again, this team is inconsistent. It really is. It may have made the playoffs a couple years ago, but I just don't think they're going to make the playoffs right now. If you look at the standings for MLB you look at last year or whatever. Like, if you look at the teams in Major League Baseball right now, pardon me while the standings load. Eventually this will load, I'm sorry. They were second in their division last year behind the Braves. The Braves are probably going to go back to the playoffs. The Cardinals are probably going to be back. I think the Reds will be back. I imagine the Pirates will be back, even though they didn't do a lot in free agency. And that leaves a team from the West. So, more or less, I don't know if the Nationals are going to be back necessarily. They've got a chance. They have a 10 over 500, so it's not embarrassing at all. But I think that the NL is really deep this year, and I don't think it's going to be that easy for them to get back. Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, they have to have a really good year for that to happen.